At some point, every firefighter thinks they're ready to promote. They've got the time in, they've taken all the classes, and then they start this promotional process. And then they realize this ain't what I thought it was at all. Promotion doesn't always go to the most prepared.
Boots hit the floor. Jump in our gear. Mask, gloves, door, screaming down the street.
Welcome to Wind the Q, the Stories Behind the Sirens. I'm Lieutenant Dodson, Engine Officer here in Northwest Georgia. This podcast is about real conversations in the fire service. It's about the job, it's about the culture, and what it actually takes to do it right. And today we're talking about something that doesn't get talked about a lot, honestly. We're talking about the promotional process. Now, this is not about leadership. It's not about leadership styles. It's just about the process. Some ways to know that you're ready for that process. So joining me today is Captain Swancy. Cap, I appreciate you being here. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about your background in the fire service.
Yes, my name is Andrew Swancy. I'm a captain, Northwest Georgia. Been in the fire service for 22 years, and some change. Yeah, still love the job, still love doing it. I actually work right now at the department have been at the majority of my career. I'm captain on the heavy, so enjoy it. That's a little bit about me. Got 3 kids, married. Yeah, that's about it.
Good deal. So Swancy has prior experience, but he came back to our department, and we actually started together, went through rookie school together, and I count him as one of my friends. We grew up a lot the same, and we talk a lot, and I appreciate you coming on today.
Yes, sir.
So let's jump right into it. So we're talking about promotions. A lot of people think, and we'll talk about this a little more in depth later, but they think that time makes them ready for promotion. I don't believe that at all. But so let's start with this question just to kind of lead us off. Why do you think people refer to the promotional process as a circus?
Well, so you got but they refer to it as a circus because it always is one, seems like, at least in the departments that I know of, the departments around here, even, big departments, little departments. It always depends on who's putting in, how many are putting in, what is the position we're putting in for? Is it, sergeant, lieutenant, captain, BC, and on up? But it's like I've been through the promotional process a few times, and it is a circus. I mean, you have stuff that you have to do, stuff that is graded. You prepare for it. You have mock interviews, you know, all this kind of stuff. And it feels like a circus because you get asked questions, you go through things that some are relevant, some are irrelevant to the job. And you're scored. A lot of times it's like you're you go through the promotional process and your score is based on that 2 weeks of what you did. Yeah, it's not based on the 7 or 8 years, 10 years prior. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And we've talked about that with like sergeant promotional assessments before. Sometimes it seems like people wing it until they get to just that promotional process. Mm-hmm. And then they do really good on a written test, and then they go down and they do really good on their pumping scenarios. And then they're a sergeant. Yep. And that doesn't mean they were ready for the job.
It don't mean they're ready for it. It doesn't. And we've all got the guys. I mean, we've all got the guys in our department, the squared away dudes that have been not promoted, been what you'd call passed up, and because they either don't test well, their interview was not as good as somebody that's got the gift of gab or whatever. But you promote the guy, based on the 2 week or the 1 week little process, and you wind up with a lot of times a subpar person in that spot where you should have, I know it's a process, and I know there's things that you have to do to grade people. I mean, I get it, but a lot of times, sometimes you get the right people, and but there again, sometimes you don't. I mean, it's
we've seen that a lot. Mm-hmm. Do you think it's part of the structure of that promotional process, or do you think it's just how it's executed?
I think it's both. I mean, all departments have, you've got what's been called the good old boy system, where you just, you walk in and hey, this guy's been here longer. He gets the job.
They knight you.
Yep. Then you have the promotional process, the testing process with the matrix points and what classes do you have on your career path and all this kind of stuff that you have to meet, which is also fair. But I don't know how to do it right. I mean, it's a combination of both. You've got to have both systems. It's like hiring people. I don't know how you do it and do it right.
Yeah.
No ways either. I mean, you've always heard people say, well, they done the good old boy system for years and that didn't work. Well, now you got the system that we currently use and you promote based on test scores and matrix points and who's got what classes. And sometimes that don't work.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well, it's like me and you. We're from a different generation. I think we get stuck into using the same promotional process for years and years, and it don't always work the same. Same with hiring process.
Yeah.
There's generational changes. Things change, and we have to adapt with it. So once we start looking at that process for what it really is, I think it moves you into a different mindset of, am I really ready? Mm-hmm. Am I ready for everything that's coming? Because we go into these, and sometimes, let's just be honest, you kind of know what you're getting into. Word gets passed around to a point. It happens. But I don't know if you're fully ready for everything in that process.
Yeah, you're not. Nobody is. I mean, you move up, when you go, probably like, to me, the easiest one to step into was driver. Yeah. Because, me and you both, I mean, we drove so much as a FAO. So, yeah. And the only thing moving to sergeant ever was for me was just, I got some chevrons. Yeah. It was the same thing. It was the exact same. And I could fill in riding the seat, but that came a little bit later. But as far as the part of the job of driver, not a lot of change. Started riding the seat, filling in. But there again, when you've got a new sergeant that's rolling up, you always put a senior FAO with him for that first few months. And that was the easiest. Like going to lieutenant, because, there again, rode up a bunch as a driver. Before I went to lieutenant, the way it worked was my officer wound up having to go to the car full time. And so I was riding up every shift, but I didn't know, you're still just like the substitute teacher. Yeah. Hey, we didn't get our pre-plans done. We didn't get the hydrants done. I didn't do this right, but yes, it wasn't really expected. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like, yeah, he's just sergeant riding up. He's filling in, whatever. Didn't. So.
Once you make that spot though, it's on you.
It's on you.
So speaking of making sergeant, I gotta drop back and tell a little story here. So the very first time me and Swancy put in for sergeant, there was some staffing differences. He worked on a different shift or whatever it was. So we'd got through the whole promotional process, but they hadn't let us know who got promoted yet. So I come in early one morning. We have a bench in our bay, and that's where all the good conversations happen. And he's sitting on the bench, and he says, "Man, I'm sorry. And I said, what are you talking about? And he said, you didn't get it.
True story.
Yes. So, he busted my bowl earlier that morning.
What? So I was working the shift before Derek, and I had kind of bombed that assessment also. And, I had went and talked to our training chief at the present time, and he'd went over the scores. He'd went over. It was an accident on his part. So he went over the scores, and he was like, yeah, you didn't get it. And I just asked him. I was like, well, who got it? And he named off the three or four dudes that did get it.
Yeah, I don't even remember who it was.
And it wasn't Derek. And it was not me. And it was and that's how I knew. I was like, well, it's not Derek. So, and good. Yeah. And I thought he'd kind of already pushed that out, with him telling me that.
He thought I knew I was terrible.
That was hilarious. Derek's like, really? I said, no, man, but neither one of us. We're backwards.
Oh, goodness. All right. So a lot of people think of this as a game. You mentioned the old boy system or the good old boy system and different ways to work through that promotional process. But do you think there's a difference? We've talked about this a lot too. So we talked about being either really good at your job day to day, or maybe you're not, you're just mediocre at your job, but you test well. So obviously I know the answer to this already, but I'm going to ask you for context. You think there's a difference between knowing how to test and being ready to promote?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, 1,000%. It's not my strong suit. And, the fire service, we see it all. I'm sure other careers also, you see it all the time. You see people that go to positions that aren't good at it.
Yeah.
Day in, day out, they're just not good at it. But they're really good at going through that assessment, and it is what it is. That's the thing. It's just one of the things that this business, I'm sure a lot of other enterprises around have the same type outcome.
Yeah. I think a lot of people do focus on the test. I've talked to my kids a lot about school and testing, and it's the same for us when we go to classes. We go to Gypstick or we go wherever we take these classes. Lots of times, in reality, we're going for a piece of paper. Mm-hmm. We need that certificate for a promotion or for our career path or whatever the case may be, get on a special team or whatever. So are we going to class to gain the knowledge and then the test confirms that knowledge? Or are we just going to take a test and get their certificate? And that's what I've talked to my kids about. They get all tore up about these tests in school. The test is just confirming the knowledge that you already should have from the lesson or from the class or whatever. So it's important that we're not just concentrating on just the test. Right. Soak up the knowledge and get good at our craft and know what we're doing.
You still have a thing too. You got test anxiety.
Yeah,
a lot of people. I get that. If I know I'm, especially if that's like on promotions, you got money on the line. Yeah. That. The worst thing, and me and you both have done it, is to go home and tell your wife that you failed.
Yeah.
That
hurts a little bit.
That hurts a little bit. Hurts your pride, be like, well, I'm dumb. I didn't do it,
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's like you say, you going to a class, you're either going to get base knowledge that you can build upon, or you're going to get that certificate that you need on that career path. Here in the state of Georgia, we got a lot of different classes in the fire service that are the same thing.
Yeah, that's right.
They're categorized different, and it's the same class taught 9 different ways. Mm-hmm. And, that's you. And also, like I ain't trying to get kind of off subject here, but like leadership stuff, you're either going to be a good leader or you're not.
Yeah.
You can, to me, I don't know. It's you know, you can't make people be accountable, and you can't policy accountability into existence.
Yeah, you're right.
It's either you either have people that are accountable or you don't. And kind of, good solid leadership in the fire service, it's, I don't know. That makes sense.
It does. There's things you can teach, and there's obviously things you can't. And every person is different. And it kind of goes back to people getting hired on here. We can teach you how to run a chainsaw and vent a roof,
Right.
But we can't teach you how to live a third of your life with other people.
That's right.
And that's a super elementary illustration, but there's things you can teach and things that you can't. Mm-hmm. Some of it you just have to bring with you.
And skill, like teaching stuff too. I don't know. Like, we say we can teach it. You can teach a lot of it, but you can't. It's hard. What I've noticed, and I'm sure you've noticed, you can't teach people how to work. And what I mean by that is how to do hard work.
Yes, the drive.
I can show you how to, I can show you how to force a door, okay? But I can't make you be aggressive, or I can't make you, that's, you either got it or you don't.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that a lot of times that's goes back, there's a lot of stuff like that in the fire service. I mean, it's like teaching a guy how to run a chainsaw that has, kind of grew up doing things, helping around his home or whatever the case may be. Maybe had an uncle or a father, granddad, whatever, that kind of showed him how to work, versus a guy he wants to work hard, but he just don't know how.
Yeah,
he don't know how to use his hands. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's never done anything like
and
that.
The fire service is a blue-collar working man's job. It just is. It's always going to be.
It shows up quick when you get here. All right, so that leads us into the next part of this, because a lot of guys think that tenure, time in rank, that means you're ready to promote, and that's absolutely not the truth.
It don't. And the thing, there's a saying too that guys can outrank their knowledge.
Yes, absolutely.
And you can outrank your ability. And if it's different for everybody. And also you've also got to take into the fact that a lot of people get to a position that they really like, and they're done. They're good at it. They're done. They don't want to go any higher, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that, and also, but it's, I don't know, like you can get to a position. The one thing that's always scared me is I don't want to get into a position, get promoted to a position, and wind up hating it and be like, God, man, I wished I was back where I was. I hate my job.
Absolutely. You can promote yourself out of enjoying your job.
100%. 100%.
But you're talking about staying in your rank. We've got relief drivers, firefighters who 15-year guys, 20-year guys, and that's where they want to be. And I think that's fine. I would put them in the seat right now. They can do the job, but that's where they want to be. I don't think promotion is right for everybody. But if you feel like that's what you want to do, you need to be ready for it. And stepping from driver to lieutenant, are we ready for it immediately? No, there's a learning curve.
Oh yeah.
100%. Always.
Well, and any job you do, like, so I was told this, it's been several years ago, but you move into a different position, there's about 3 to 6 months when you take that new position that you're ineffective.
Yeah.
That I remember when I first made lieutenant, I had thinking like, what am I supposed to be doing? I don't know what to do, because you're learning. You don't know really what your place is. You're trying to figure out, because there's some different, when you become an officer, guys look at you different, and there's some of that. You're trying to figure out what that is exactly, how people look at you. You realize that, oh man, if I'm kind of I'm the officer, you know, so I have to make a plan, and we have stuff to do, and I'm responsible for this, and it takes a little while when you move up to a position and learning what that means.
Yeah, that's right. What do you think? Let's contrast these just a little bit. So in the last couple of years, we've started taking on more experienced firefighters from other departments.
Yep.
So that has kind of changed our progression from the traditional, you came here and you started working up through the ranks slowly, and we've brought in this fast track system. Contrast those two a little bit, the fast track versus rising through the ranks here.
It's good and bad. And the hiring guys with past experience it's good. You get a lot of knowledge from doing that, but also, is it good or is it bad? And are you, because a lot of times, they're bringing, just like if I went to another department, I'm going to take what I know here and carry that with me.
Yeah, that's true.
And I'm going to look at everything they do in a biased comparison to what I know. Yeah. And that's what you get, is you get a lot of biased opinions. Like, why are we doing this? This don't make any sense. Well, it's because you're not at your old department. That's why. You get some of that. Now, the fast track program, I don't know. You don't know, because again, guys have been to school where they work. They've got these certificates. They've got MPQ, this, that, and other, but you don't know of what caliber of training that they've had. You just know they've got a certificate. I've got a lot of certificates that I have them, but that don't mean I'm a pro at them.
Yeah, that's true.
But so every department's different, and it's one of those things that me personally, I prefer guys that come here and start here, because there again, like any department you go to, they're going to know how we do things.
Yeah, that's true.
The ins and outs, every day, day-to-day operations, whether it's rack and hose, pumping a rig, the way rigs are set up, they know how we do it. There's no biased comparison on what somebody else did.
Yeah, every department's different. We see that when we get recruits back from Gypstick.
Yes.
And then we start going through, all right, I know that's how you learned it there, but let's do it this way. You know, a little more tailored to our department. So time helps with exposure. It don't really help you with, well, I can't say not at all. It may help you with growth to a point, but exposure is what helps you with that growth. It's like a chain or a ladder. So the time here gives us more exposure. And we see that with new firefighters. They come on the truck. It may be, we don't run a ton of fire here. So it, depending on our 3 shifts and our 5 stations, it could be a while before they actually see their first fire. Same thing for an officer. We've had people who have made it to lieutenant and only had a good fire or 2. Getting that exposure is what is important. Time helps with that. And then when you get the exposure is what helps your growth. Yeah. And it brings it back to something more important than just time. And you have to be honest with yourself. I think that's a very important part. We mentioned earlier seeing people who promoted that wasn't really ready, wasn't ready to step into that role. And like I said, we have to be honest with ourselves. Am I really ready? Because it's a huge responsibility change. If you go from firefighter to driver, your responsibilities change totally. Once even though as a driver, you bounce over to that seat ever so often, depending on staffing or whatever, when you move to that seat full time and you're responsible for everything, it's totally different.
100% different. Yeah.
How do you think you honestly know as a person within yourself? How do you think you know when you're ready?
To me, to me it was in my gut. Like I knew, and like you play this game long enough, and you know different crews, you know different officers and different things, and you run calls, years and years of calls, whatever, and you're like, man, I can do just as good or better as that guy. Nothing, not anything personal, but there's nothing that he's doing that I can manage 100% that.
Yeah.
And then, knowing you're ready to move up is, you got to know in your heart and in your gut that you're, and you got to want it. You got to want to, once you transition up to that officer role, your whole job, your whole existence becomes, and this is like a cliche thing, but it is to make guys under you better.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's, you gotta want to do that. You gotta want to make people, do better, do good work, and polish the craft. So that's, you gotta have some enough savvy about you to give.
Yeah,
I would say.
Yep. I agree, and I think there's some things you need to ask yourself before you actually move into this process. So here at this department, emails will come out, and it'll be an announcement that assessments are upcoming. Typically, we know that's going to happen, just based on who's retiring or who's leaving or whatever the case is. But I think you need to ask yourself, are you competent? Do you know your job? So typically, we try to train to the level above where we are. Mm-hmm. And then if something happens, we need to step into that role, we can do that. But are you competent in moving into that role? Do you know the job? Do you know what's required by standard operating procedures and city policy and all the things that need to be in place? Are you good with that stuff? And are you consistent? And I will take this to as basic as it gets. And this seems like it doesn't matter, but it actually does. And this could be firefighter to chief, it doesn't matter, but walking in the door in the morning, first thing, are you close to the same person every time you walk in the door, or does your crew have no idea who they're getting for the day?
Right.
And like I said, that's about on a basic level, but trying to be consistent, doing things the same way every time, so you're fair and you're consistent across the board. But even as a person, being consistent in how you interact with other people.
Yeah, 100%.
I think that's huge.
It's huge, and you also got to be humble. I mean, any position, it doesn't matter. Like I like to say, I can learn something from the 2-week man to the 25-year guy. You got to be, whatever position you're in or whatever position you're stepping into, ask opinions, ask for help, ask for good constructive criticism. Don't get bent out of shape when, somebody tells you a better way of doing things. It's, and if you've got to know in your mind, like, if somebody shows you something, tells you something, teaches you something, whatever the case may be, you're going to know immediately, well, that's better than how I've been doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's easier, or that's worse, or whatever. Yeah. Humility.
Yeah. We had that structure fire a couple of shifts ago, and we had our little critique around the kitchen table. And we talked about that because we've got, I can't say most of the department, but we're so young as a department. Mm-hmm. And if I get off the truck on a structure fire and we're getting ready to go in, and I, for some reason, miss some small detail, but my new guy sees it, tell me.
Yeah.
Because, it's hard to see everything. I think another thing, and this starts as a firefighter when you come in the door, but do people trust your decisions?
Right.
We start building that as a firefighter, that has really nothing to do with rank or where you're at.
Right.
But people have to be able to trust you and trust that you're going to do the right thing.
Yeah.
If you know,
and the trust thing, man, that goes both ways.
Yeah.
You know, that's a two-way street. And I think a lot of people forget about that. You got to trust, you know, your guys got to trust you and you got to trust them. And they got to know that. And you got to be, you know, at any position, you got to be like validated.
Yeah.
You've got to, you know, I don't know. It's sometimes in the fire service, people, you know, they get, you know, they become unvalidated because they're too much outside of the realm.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, running calls and being ready to do the job is what the whole fire department existence is for.
Yeah.
And you gotta stay validated.
That's right.
You gotta stay in shape. You gotta be, we're all firemen. At the end of the day, everybody that works here is a firefighter.
Yeah, that's right.
And you gotta keep that. You know, that's very important.
I think in this to being able to handle pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Now we don't have this perfected, but there's been a few people who I've worked for in the past that are, most of them are retired now, but I've tried to pattern myself after them.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I'm tore up on the inside,
Mm-hmm.
I try not to let it show because, you know, we run a call and the tone and the voice of the person who is talking on the radio sets the whole tone for that scene. And if we, you know, if they're giving their size up and they're just coming apart and they're screaming, it changes everything. Everybody in every truck leading up behind them is now in this whole different mode.
Yep.
So I try to keep it calm. I don't always do that. Sometimes we kind of get carried away. Our adrenaline still pumps, but I think that has a major effect on the whole scene, from
as
from
goes first do, so goes the scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
That saying's been around for my whole career. I mean, probably forever. But yeah, you know, and everybody has, you know, you've got that handful of officers, that you've worked for throughout your career, and you've got the good ones and the bad ones.
Yeah.
All of us do. And you take, you know, you take the best traits from the best officers you've ever had, and you take the bad traits and be like, well, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
You know, or, you know, we all, you pattern after people that, like you say, I mean, I look back through my career and, you know, I know solid guys that I worked under, and they were, I mean, you know, just their demeanor, how they carried themselves, how, you know, highly respected, you know, workers, not, you know, like, and then I've got the ones that was like, God, man, that
don't do it that way.
Don't do it that way. You know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. All right. And I think the reason all of this matters so much is we move into this position. It don't affect us. It affects crews. Because now, as a lieutenant of a double company station, everything I do affects potentially both crews. At a minimum, that's 6 people right off the rip. And then in your position where you're riding up in battalion, I mean, it could affect everybody.
Yeah, it's the whole ship.
Yeah, it's a huge deal. So you gotta be ready for those things. So we've talked about promoting too quickly and people who stay in positions where they're at.
Yep.
Maybe, you know, in our opinion, longer than they should. Maybe they should have stepped up, but they're good where they're wanting. And there's always that thing that you mentioned a while ago of promoting yourself out of enjoying your job. There has been times as a lieutenant that I've thought that's exactly what I did. I promoted myself out because I love driving.
Yeah.
I love driving. I love pumping. I loved everything about that. And I think it was time for me to promote up, but I've thought about that a lot, man. I promoted myself out of enjoying this. And me and you've sat down and we've talked a lot about the waves that you go through. You go through these times where you think, man, this ain't what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And it passes. We get some wins here and there, and things get better. But know that you're ready before you step into this process, because you might get it.
Yeah, 100%. 100% you might get it. And it's, so a guy that worked here, been several years ago, but, put in for a position thinking like, hey, I'm just going to go through the process. Not ready for it. Not interested.
Yeah.
Got the job. And so, yeah. And I think kind of stepped back and was like, well, wasn't counting on that one, you know? And so, yeah, make sure that before you do pull the trigger on something, that you are ready to make that next step. And if you don't want to, don't.
Yeah.
Don't, that's one of the most important things. If you don't want to, don't do it.
That's right. Yeah. All right. So let's move into, this might be a little more controversial. So we talked about earning respect early.
Yeah.
And, as a firefighter, and you work through your time and you build respect from other people, and then they respect you. And do you think rank by itself can carry somebody?
No, 1,000% not. So no, rank, all that, it doesn't mean anything. It means something on paper. So you got, to me, you have rank structure in the fire department, but you've also got what I've always called the hidden totem pole, the hidden totem pole of power. And everybody that's been in the fire service knows exactly what that is. That's the guys that, irregardless of rank, what they say carries a lot of weight.
Yeah.
Because they're good at the job, they're good at the craft, and what they say matters. And rank, all that is something on paper. It means more in the station than it does anywhere else.
Yeah, that's true.
That's all it's for. And it's, at the end of the day, it's not all it's for, but it's who's responsible for what. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But as far as, again, respect, trust, validation, that's what makes, good moving up that ladder, being in those positions. Your guys got to, they got to know that you're about it. You can do good work.
That's right.
Rank won't carry you anywhere.
I agree with that. There's a big difference in authority and respect.
100%.
And I remember, I watch a lot of Andy Griffith. I think you can learn a lot from it. But in one of the episodes, somebody asked him why he didn't carry a gun. And he said he didn't want people to be afraid of the gun. He wanted them to respect him.
Right.
And that's kind of the same way. As we gain rank, we get more authority.
Right.
And we have some authority to tell people to do this or do that or take care of this duty or that task, but we want them to respect us. We don't want them to just be afraid of, well, they can wrap me up if I don't do this.
You can't lead with brass.
Yeah. No,
you can't lead with brass.
That's terrible.
And that's, we've all had those people that we've worked under that did. And, in my opinion, we're doing it wrong. But you got to, if your guys respect you and trust you and you're, and you ask them to do something and they know that you will or can do it with them.
Yeah.
That's a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Don't tell anybody to do something that you're not.
That's right. That
you willing or capable to do yourself.
100%. And it's like in any job. It don't matter the job. You know, if you work on a framing crew,
Yeah.
and your foreman tells you to, you know, go start cutting rafters or throwing plywood, and he can't or won't,
Yeah.
he's incapable, then you're like, why are you telling me what to do? You know, you don't even know.
Yep. That's true.
And it's the same thing on any job.
That's right. Yeah, you can, and I think there's a lot more that goes along with this, but you can have 5 bugles on your collar and people still not follow you.
That's right.
As we start progressing, I think early we gain trust and we build respect. And then when we make it to lieutenant or captain or chief, all of that shows.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can absolutely be an officer and have no support whatsoever.
100%. 100%.
You gotta start building that early.
And we've seen it in the past.
Absolutely.
I mean, you know, every guy, every department has.
Yep.
I mean, it's not something. This ain't something that's just. It's nationwide. I mean,
Yep.
we all know of those people.
Yep. All right, let's shift gears just a little bit. Kind of rapid fire.
Yep.
All right, so promote early or wait?
When you're ready. It early or late, I would say, has less to do with it than when you're ready. Obviously, later would probably be, depends on the position, but when you're ready. I would go when you're ready.
All right. Biggest mistake people make in that process?
On promotions,
Yes.
unreal expectations.
Okay, that's a good one.
That I would say that one. Unreal expectations of what they're supposed to do, their duties, and what they're, you know, of their guys.
Yep.
A lot of times, you know.
That's a good answer. I like that. What's one of the biggest mistakes you see people make in that process? And that may fall under the same one.
Yeah. Biggest mistakes as far as getting promoted is not knowing or when or how to step away.
Okay.
Getting promoted is like raising kids. You want the higher you get, you got to let go.
Yeah.
You've got to let your guys work. You got you know, you get to driver, you're in the clubhouse.
Yeah.
You get to an officer, you're outside the clubhouse. You get to the higher you go, you keep stepping away from the clubhouse.
Yep.
And you've got to let guys work. You've got to let them do their job. Now you're there. You know, it's like being a dad.
Mm-hmm.
It's like going from that baby to that 10-year-old to that teenager to that 18-year-old. You slowly let go.
Yeah.
That's part of the process.
That makes good sense. Well, I know we've talked a lot about even in a command situation, stepping back and it's hard. You get sucked into that scene and then you lose that broad picture.
You do.
But keeping yourself back, and I can see where that relates. You kind of take a step back, you let them do their thing, and like you said, you're there if you need to be. But
yeah, you're there, but let them handle things. Let them, you know, everything's not an emergency. Don't make mountains out of molehills.
Yep.
Don't, and a lot of one thing that I've learned on guys working under you is issues, problems, whatever the case may be. You know, you gotta, and it helps them trust you also, but you gotta say, why are you telling me about this?
Yeah.
That's not my wheelhouse. Like, handle it.
Yeah.
Like, I trust you, man. Go fix it.
Yeah.
You don't have to tell me every little bitty thing. I mean, that's your job.
Yeah.
Go do work.
There's been little things as a lieutenant that I finally, you know, I've caught wind of or whatever, and I'm like, well, okay, I didn't even know that was happening, but y'all handled it.
Yeah.
Good deal. All right, so give me wherever this falls, give me a hard truth about promotion. Something.
A hard truth about promotion is every time you move up, there's going to be stuff that you don't like. You're going to be handed stuff that that you're either over or this project or this whatever it may be, and it's A, you didn't expect it, B, it's zero fun. It's something that, well, Chief he's asked you to, this is your baby now, or this is, you need to be doing this, or you do that, you're teaching this, whatever it may be. And you're like, God, I didn't want to do that, but know that part's coming. But also there will be rewarding sides that you also didn't expect.
Yeah, that's true.
On it's the good and the bad, but there again, you got to be able to let go and let people do their job, and it's a balance. As you promote up, the balance changes, and it changes on what you're doing, what the things that become important to you as you promote on up, they're not important to, just like it was when I was a fireman.
Yeah.
I didn't care about most of the stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that.
Okay. All right. All right. So this is like some of my advice about promotions right here. So a lot of it we've already talked about, knowing your capabilities, knowing what I need to improve on to be better at that position. Mm-hmm. And you're kind of looking ahead at this point, but a lot of that comes with working with seasoned officers in the past, like we talked about. There's good ones, bad ones. One of my officers that I had for a long time was really into the logistics side, station maintenance and uniforms and gear and all of that side of it. So that kind of pulled him away from the administrative side of being an officer in direct relation to the crew. Well, as a sergeant at the time, that let me fill that role, and it helped me more than anything to kind of get ready, because there's a huge difference in the administrative side and the tactical side. Yeah. And I think that's a lot of things. A lot of times people don't think about the administrative side of it too. And especially recently, that side is building, and it just 100%. Trickles down to us. So knowing how you can improve with that. If your officer does reports, ask to do some reports, ask to do the daily logbook, ask to do some of this stuff, and that will acclimate you to that a little bit better. Train with your crew. Don't send them out to the training yard to do everything by themselves. Yep. That's a huge thing with that respect. They want to be able to see you do it and you performed also. Yep. Respect of your peers and subordinates, but the guys that are with you. We talked about this earlier. We start early. We start building that respect as a firefighter, and then as a sergeant. That respect that you build doesn't always 100% carry over to your new position, but it builds that foundation that people can trust you. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we get into a lieutenant spot or a captain spot, we still, in a way, have to prove ourselves in that position. Mm-hmm. But that starts with that good foundation of building that.
And you're proving it to different people too.
Yes.
Not only are you proving, you're trying, and that's the thing, like that first year as a company officer, you're trying, you got your guys looking at you, all the tailboard talk on, hey, what's it like working for him? What's, that, all blah, 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 blah. And then you also have your BCs, captains, chiefs, all them looking at you, wanting to know, trying to figure out, are your tactics good? Is he doing, that kind of thing. So you're getting looked at from both ends of the spectrum. Yep. And you got to know that. And the higher you go, the bigger the spectrums get.
That's true. And you got to prove yourself to yourself, in a way. And then something else I thought about when you was talking. So as a firefighter, or even as a relief driver, a sergeant, you're still, like you said earlier, we're still part of that crew. Yep. We're still part of the pack. Well, you're in all the text threads and all that stuff. And then as you start promoting, you start dropping out of those. And man, what's the crew saying? Yeah. because you're not in that anymore.
Yeah, you become very absent of the tailboard talk. You know, all the bench that Derek was telling you about. You're not on the bench anymore. Yeah. You're not privy to those conversations. And that I've been riding up for a little while, and it becomes a lot less. You know, I have to ask guys like, "Hey, what is it? Do y'all like this, or is this?" Because they don't talk to you, or they don't talk to you as much on stuff like that.
So I had these thoughts too. So after you've been promoted and you've been in this new position for a few years, whether it's lieutenant or it's captain, or battalion chief, whatever, don't forget, and this is from experience because I've seen this myself. Don't forget that everybody here is not brand new. Like some of us worked with you on the truck.
That's right.
And we remember how things were then.
Yeah.
Another one, I'll throw this in. Don't tell stories that you wasn't there for.
That's right. That's another big one. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, know that everybody's not new. Some of us work with you. We touched a little bit ago about micromanaging. And I agree with you 100%. Give your new officers duties and let them handle it.
Yeah.
They're going to mess up.
100%.
I mean, we've been officers for a little bit. We mess up every shift.
Yeah.
It's part of it. It's part of learning.
And expect it.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Like you said, we got, like every department, right? There's a lot of new guys. I mean, we're in this. It seems that everybody I talk to from all departments here in North Georgia, they're in the same boat.
Yeah.
We've got 20 new guys, 30 new guys, 50 new guys, depending on the size of the department, however big it is. And when I say new guys, I'm talking 3 years or less on the job.
Yeah.
Those don't, and that goes back to that unreal expectations. When I came here in 2004, I was surrounded by 10-year firemen.
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't mess up.
Yeah.
I had 4 guys with me all the time that were 10 plus years on the job. Well,
and had no issue saying, don't do that.
Had zero problem telling me what they thought about it. Yeah. So, and now, your senior guys now are 2 years, 18 months.
Yeah.
So it's, and we've all departments, we've had to fill promotions, fill slots. And that's where we get these, 5-6 year lieutenants, these 8-9 year captains. Mm-hmm. It's part of the game, But yeah, and that when you talk about culture, that's the culture that's changed.
Yeah, you're right.
It's not. We got great guys, but the part of the culture that's changed is we're so young.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, you don't have those 25-year lieutenants, those 35-year captains. I mean, those guys aren't here.
Yeah,
we retire, and what's changed is we retire in most places around here between 50 and 55.
Yeah.
Well, those people don't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And they're never going to exist.
Well, you talked about that structure fire we had a couple of shifts ago. You said, because you were in the car in battalion that night. How many people on that crew or on that scene were less than 3 years?
Every firefighter on the scene, all of them.
Yeah. Were less than 3 years or less. Yeah.
All of them. And that was on that scene, that was with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 trucks.
Yeah.
Every fireman on that scene had less than 3 years on the job.
That's crazy.
Half of them had less than 18 months.
Yeah.
Well, you know what I mean?
That makes our leadership side be that much more important.
Yeah. And when you start talking about, and it's that way, like I said, across North Georgia that I know of, probably across the whole state. But that's just the nature of the beast. And that's the culture that we have. It's just because there again, 7 or 8 years down the road, actually 6 or 7 years down the road, the department that we're at, there will be another mass exodus.
There will be, yeah.
Me included. You know, I'll be leaving. But there'll be probably close to half the department gone.
Yeah.
So, it's just going to keep going.
That's true.
And again, we will have 6, 7, 8 year officers and 60 brand new guys. It'll be the same thing.
Yeah. That is true. It's going to flip again.
It is.
And this is kind of, and you can speak more to this because you actually ride battalion. But this is, I guess, seeing battalion from a lieutenant's position. Kind of touched on this. We touched on the administrative side and stuff, but on regular calls, let them run them by themselves.
Yeah.
Listen to the radio, monitor that traffic. And like you said, if they need you, I can be there in 3 minutes, but let them run them. Let them make the decisions. Let them make the mistakes. And if correction is needed, offer that.
Yeah, offer it. And a lot of times too, on like in the car, run a call and be there.
Yep.
I can just be there, and not that's, I do that some, if it sounds like something where, especially if it's like you think, I might need to go check that out.
Yeah.
I might not ever even get out of the car, but I'm there.
Yeah. I know we run the car fire the other day after the police chase, and I knew you were running it. You were behind us, and I got out of the truck and there was nothing to it. And I turned around and Swancy left. Yeah. But yeah, be there. Yeah. But you don't have to be actually involved in everything.
No. And that's the thing. I do that a lot. I ran a call today and, hung out way back of the scene. And when it got, I was watching it. Now I was like, yep, they're good. I just left.
Yeah.
I rolled my window down, waved at them, hit the road. But yeah, there again, that's what makes good people.
Yeah.
Well,
we talked about offering correction when it's needed. And, I think there's a way to go about that too, with respect. And
you'll be surprised too how, and I'm sure you get this, is if they know you're there and they know, like I said, you trust them, they trust you, and you have mutual respect, they'll come back a lot of times to the station and say, hey, you see something that, did I do that right? Could I have done this a little different or whatever the case may be? And you'll be like, yeah, we'll smoke it over right here and try this.
Yeah.
That's
the thing about correction is also having a path to fix the issue.
That's right.
And in that correction, in contrast on the other side, this is in my opinion, no effective outcome is ever achieved by publicly degrading your crew.
Mm-mm.
And
no, you learn. Yeah, and that's something that's taught. Discipline in private, praise in public. That's one. That's like, leadership 1. That's the first thing they tell you.
It is like leadership 1, and you would think everybody would understand that.
100%.
But that's not always the case.
Mm-hmm.
I think we talked about authority earlier. You correct with that authority. You correct with sternness, but the whole underlying thing is that respect.
Yeah. And the only time that to me is ever justifiable to you light into hollering at somebody is if you like they're fixing to get hit by a train.
Yeah.
You got imminent roof collapse. You've got flashover conditions that they don't see. Something major's fixing to happen.
Yeah.
Sure. You might get out and go light into, blah, 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 whatever.
Yeah.
But again, if that's the case, there's a real good chance that they're going to be like, man, I appreciate you hollering at me because I've never seen that.
Yep. And I was thinking, an issue where we got a crew inside. Mm-hmm. We're outside, we're in IC, and we're watching the scene, and we see the roof buckle.
Yeah.
We start, no, get out.
Yeah.
And they're like, nah, give me 3 more minutes.
Yeah. No.
No. Well, you know, in a situation like that, or they're about to get
Right.
hit by a train.
And the interstate, you know,
Yeah.
the interstate's the most dangerous place we go.
Absolutely. 100%.
Because, I mean, anybody that's got interstate in their territory, people don't slow down. They don't care. They're trying to get past you. And if it's dark at all, red lights is just like a moth to a flame.
Yeah.
So, yes, I mean, you have to, and that's, you know, I've actually done it. It's been a while ago, but I was riding up in I was a sergeant riding up in the seat on the interstate, and I grabbed a guy. He was driving for me at the time. I grabbed him, and me and him went over a guardrail.
Yeah.
And a vehicle came. We had the rig, we had blocking set up, had cones set up, whole shooting match, you know, state patrols on scene, blues everywhere. But yeah, and right through there, running about, I don't know. I mean, even it was a wreck, he was probably running 50, 55. Wow. But yeah, I mean, I steer wrestled him and went over the guardrail with him.
Yeah.
And about that time, car went by. Yeah. I thought, God,
never know.
What is that? What's wrong with these people? You know.
If you correct the way that we've talked about correcting in private with respect, I think your crews are going to support you and they'll follow you anywhere.
100%. Yeah. And know your people.
Yeah.
When you do move up, it don't matter if you've moved up. It don't matter if you're a senior firefighter. Know who you're talking to and know everybody's different. You got to talk to everybody different ways. Based on, you have to know your people. Yep. There's some guys that need that, hey man, shut up, quit being dumb.
Yeah.
There's some guys, if you tell that to, they're going to shut down.
Yeah.
And be like, God, he hates my guts. Well, you got to know who you're talking to.
Yep.
And
we're not smoking recruits that have lost their gloves three times today. Durbano, that's for you. It's experienced firefighters. Mm-hmm. Now, we talked about how young our department is, but still, it's not like recruits where we're running a rookie school and we're smoking them for something. We all forget steps. We break stuff. We lose stuff. We have bad days. So don't ever get to the point where you think you never have a bad day or you never make a mistake, because we all do it. I don't know. Maybe my biggest piece of advice is if you have to tell somebody how good of a leader you are,
that's right.
You ain't a good leader. You're winging it and hoping it doesn't catch up with you, in my opinion. Our crews reflect our leadership, but it says more about who we are than anybody else. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's sidebar for just a minute. Totally unrelated, not related to the fire service or anything we've talked about so far. All right, so what artist or music are you listening to right now?
Right now, so would be like a Texas country guy. I big like Treaty Oak fan, Gavin Adcock, Sterling Elza, which is like rock country kind of per se. Zach Bryan, Cody Jinks, all that kind of stuff. Would be most of my playlist at the present moment. Okay. I'm odd because I listen to a lot of bluegrass. Big bluegrass guy. I listen to some gospel. I listen to some metal. I listen to, I can go from Billy Strings to Lamb of God, and I'm fine with that.
All right.
But yeah, that's
something you may not know about Captain Swancy is he is an accomplished drummer and tuba player.
I am a drummer. I've never played a tuba, but I have been drumming since I was little. I got two older brothers they're right at 11 years older than me. And when they went to college, they were 18 and I was 7. And they left a full set of drums, a keyboard, a Fender Stratocaster, a bass, the whole basement just full of instruments. Because we all grew up playing music.
Yeah.
And they left a 1990 Kenwood stereo with like 4 cassette tapes.
Oh, yeah.
And a full tape closet of 80s hair metal.
Okay.
Is what so, I had like 250 tapes that I could put in with my headphones, and that's how I learned to drum, just playing along. And then I wound up, as time rolled on, I just kept playing and kept playing and kept playing. So
you mentioned tapes, and this is for the younger listeners. Is that something like Abraham Lincoln would have listened to, or what is that?
Tape. It's a plastic square, so it's slightly smaller than an iPhone with film in it that runs through a machine and makes music come out. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Cassette tape. And if you get in a jam, you can wind them up with a number 2 pencil.
That's with a pencil. They got to be a number 2. We had a Cadillac back in the 80s that still had an 8-track player in the, I think it was in the glove box.
Yeah. But 8 tracks sounded better than cassette tapes, I always thought.
Yeah.
Well, you had a better quality tape, but the speakers and the radio wasn't no good.
No. All right. So what podcast are you listening to right now? Not including this one, of course.
So I listen to, come from my ag family. I listen to, there's one called Barn Talk.
Okay.
It's some farmers up in Iowa. Listen to that one. There's another fire department one. I can't think of it. It's on my iHeartRadio. I can't think of it. I just know the picture of it and I mash it. Those two are the ones that I usually listen to, because the fire department one, similar to this one, it's guys, different firemen from around, and they just talk about whatever. It might be similar stuff, and the Barn Talk is all ag stuff, So.
Okay. I listen to Hayden, Alabama podcast a lot. It's a small town, a lot of farming stuff on it, but good, clean podcast. I listen to it a lot. That's kind of been where I'm at recently. All right. So Sean Ryan gives out SIG 365 pistols. I got you a t-shirt.
I appreciate it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. Appreciate
All right. So promotion isn't something we choose. It's got to be something we're ready for. We've talked, you got to be perfect for one day.
That's right.
So don't do that. But in reality, be honest with yourself. Put in the work and don't let the process define your standard. It's going to be nerve-wracking, but make sure you're ready for that. Cap, I appreciate you coming on. We've had conversations like this before, but I think us being able to sit down, just have a good open conversation, I think that's what makes it awesome.
I appreciate you inviting me, man. I like it. We'll do it again sometime. Thank
Absolutely. Thank you for listening to Wind the Q, the stories behind the sirens. Until next time, stay safe, take care of your crew, take care of yourself.